Because who was I if I'm not a high-achieving child achieving a high-achieving degree? Ooh, I'm preaching. Hey, welcome to Redoctoring, a podcast that gives you permission to be a different kind of doctor. Thank you for joining me in episode 2. If you just listened to episode 1, you will remember that I opened up with a letter to you, my fellow doctor, and also hinted a bit to me sharing my origin story with regards to medicine. My origin story with medicine also ties into why I decided to start this platform. So firstly, I need to share a disclaimer. This is my story, not everyone's experience. I'm sharing this to help you understand where my line of thinking comes from and where my heart is behind all the episodes. I don't want this to come across as a rant, but more just like a friend talking to a friend. If you got yourself some tea, you are going to sip on that tea while you listen to this tea. So basically, my story starts all the way back to when I was in grade 11 or matric. I was a high achieving student. And what makes sense for high achieving students? To go study accounting, engineering, or medicine. My parents also are African like that and subscribe to the mentality that success is only found in those 3 careers. Although I did choose medicine, what I actually wanted to choose was a gap year. I felt like after matric, I just needed some time to breathe, some time to reflect, and some time to just discover if medicine truly was what I wanted. Taking a gap year was not really celebrated, especially back then. So my parents kind of looked at it like, why don't you want to study when the money and the opportunity is here? So that's what I did. I went into medicine and I denied myself the opportunity to take a break. Now that I'm post-ComServe and took a deliberate 3-month break, if I could turn back time, I would tell my younger self to take a break. Choose yourself. Choose that little voice inside that is saying something. Even though it is different from what everyone expects of you, take it. I have learned so much about myself in this break. I have seen so much and I am ready to charter a new way forward. And that is sometimes done when you are able to take a step back, because a step back is a step up for something greater. Woo, I'm preaching. So med school was actually not the greatest for me. If I could put it into one word, I would say it was quite challenging. Traumatizing, if you will. I don't remember all the small bits, but I will take you along the important bits. I remember feeling very disillusioned, especially in my 2nd, 3rd year, with regards to, is this what medicine is? Is this the reality of it? And if it is, I don't want to be in it for too long. I actually have a good friend who I met in my 3rd year who told me, one of the first things I told her was, girl, I'm trying to be out by the age of 30 because it's ghetto out here. Medical school has a way of making it feel very isolating, like you are the only one who's having this problem. Your whole class will come to school, everyone looks fine on the outside, but I know that many students feel this feeling. Just the other day, I did a talk at the University of Pretoria, and one of the girls actually came up to me and she said, Doc, you don't know how many of my friends are actually in this whole situation of knowing that they're not going to be in medicine until they're 40. They are trying to look for ways out already. And I was like, that was exactly who I was as a medical student. But I pushed through because that is what you need to do in this life. Supposedly, you just need to push through all the toxicity. You just pretend that you're fine and you go with the flow. Everybody always says that things get better as you progress. Things become easier as you progress. But what if that's not true for you? What do you do if you are that person? Unfortunately, I felt like I became that person, but I just pushed through. Until my 3rd year. My 3rd year is when I failed the year. At University of Free State, you're allowed to have 1 module between 45 and 50%. I had 2 modules in that bracket, and it completely shattered me. Yo, so this is Editing Diane coming to you live from the future. I realized that I did not explain this part really well. My why for coming into medicine, as much as there was a lot of parental influence in that, I myself love helping people. I wanted medicine because I loved helping people. There's also the financial incentive because you see all the doctors driving the good cars. And I also felt like it was my calling and my passion. I come from a very medical background family. So that linked up with the calling and the passion vibes, which is, your calling and your passion, it's another thing I need to touch on in a future episode, because I know a lot of doctors get into medicine thinking that that's their calling and that's their passion, and it's great if it is, but what about those who it's not their calling or it's not their passion, or they just view medicine as a job? These are things that we don't discuss, but we need to. But that's a future episode idea. Okay, now coming into my third year. Why did I fail? I failed because my heart was no longer in medicine. I'm old enough to admit that now. My heart was not in it, and I forgot my why. During that year when I repeated, I realized that if you do anything in this life without a strong why, you are like an arrow being shot into the sky with no aim, with no target, with no trajectory. And then you'll land in the field at some random point. But because you didn't know where you were trying to go, you will not be able to take data from that failure. You will not be able to recollect, recount your steps, and do better in the next attempt, which is why your why is so important. In my third year, I lost my why. I lost my heart. And I just didn't know what I was doing, okay? That's why I failed. I take full accountability of it, my whole medical journey. I literally take full accountability. I don't blame anyone. I'm not that girl, okay? I did what I did, but let's see what I can do better. That year, now that I look at it in retrospect, God had really molded a lot of me in that year, but in the moment, I felt useless. I felt like I brought embarrassment upon my African family. I felt like I was useless, because who was I if I'm not a high-achieving child achieving a high-achieving degree, which is crazy. I'm a whole person first before the prefix of DR before my surname. But I didn't realize that my identity was rooted in my ability to achieve, my ability to strive for things, and in my performance. In that time, the Lord really spoke to my identity, and I had revelations about how my identity is not supposed to be founded in a degree or in what I'm able to do. It should be founded in the Lord. That was my little preachy moment. Can I get an amen? So one of the questions that I really did ask myself in that year was, do I still want this? And what is this? But the feeling still persisted. The feeling of, girl, you need to do something different with this degree. I even remember my brother, who was so surprised that I went back to school after failing a year, because he was like, the way you were crashing out, I thought you were going to drop out. I always knew I had to finish. There was a large responsibility on me. I'm the second out of 4 children, so kind of, you know, when your parents say follow your elder siblings, I had a example to set. There was a responsibility. My parents were also paying cash, so I had to finish that degree. And how I reasoned it in my mind is, because I'm halfway, I've done 50%, I should just finish the other 50%, you know, in the name of just push through. Although I continued clinical years, I still remained with that question. Still remained with the feeling of, I enjoy helping people, but is this how I'm truly meant to help people? The question of, is this it? And also seeing how other people found so much joy and excitement, but I did not know what it was I was feeling. I also subscribe to the mentality that things will get better eventually, and things don't have to be better now. I also did not know myself well enough to discover other parts of myself. That was until I actually went to therapy. I went to therapy, I think in my 4th year, and my psychologist, one thing I spoke about a lot to her was that I loved watching YouTube videos and these travel videos and content creators. And then she really encouraged me to start my own thing. And creativity really helped. Like, I'm such a creative person, but I did not allow myself to express it as much as a child, and also in my early adulthood, which is why maybe now I'm doing this podcasting gig. In another episode, I definitely want to speak about how creativity can be the cure to burnout, but I am digressing. Let's go back onto the schedule. One thing that medicine doesn't show a lot while you're still studying is the different career routes. They don't give you career planning or career coaching as a medical student. They just tell you, listen, you got to save this life in front of you, and that is what you do. You start working. That's all you see. You only see the doctors that work in hospital, but there's so many other doctors. There's so much you can do with the career in medicine, and that's important for me to showcase in this in this podcast. I eventually graduated in 2021 by the grace of God, and I did my 2 years of internship at Edenvale Hospital, and my community service was last year at Rob Ferreira Hospital. Let me fill you in on my present day reality. Like I said in the beginning, I took a 3-month break to heal, recuperate, and find myself again, become sane after community service, which was wild. I did my time in ICU, and it was hectic, but we made it. During the time that I've rested, I have felt and I have remembered how deep inside me there was always a question for more. There was always a question for, is there more to this? What else can we do? And that is why this podcast is here, because I am trying to figure that out. I am figuring out non-clinical routes and also clinical routes that best suits me as a person. It's not about making the most amount of money for me personally. It's also not about wearing the badge of doctor and being the hero at the end of the day. I just want a life that feels good to me. I want a life that feels good for my nervous system. Although what I want is quite clear, I don't exactly know what that is. Talking to friends who are very satisfied in medicine, they just look at me like, girl, what do you mean? I don't understand this. And even my family, some of them feel like, what do you mean you can be a doctor in an office? That does not make sense. But let me tell you, you go into LinkedIn and you see that makes sense. There are so many people in research, people working for medical aids, people doing medical affairs, people doing different but worthy things, still with the title of doctor. And I want to bring that in this platform. I want to bring that in this podcast. I want to show you what you are not able to see because you are struggling to get through your day to day as a medical student or as a doctor. I want to show you what a career in medicine can look like, and also how you can be a human first and a doctor second, because that is so underrated but very needed. I want you to reconnect with your hobbies. I want you to see all the interests that you have and maybe create something from that. I actually saw a really interesting post on LinkedIn the other day. This person spoke about how today in 2025, it's not about the job that you have, but it's about your skill set. It's about what you are able to bring to the table and what results you have to show for it, which is quite interesting. I see this also on LinkedIn because you find so many creators who have dentist, marketer, and writer in their bio, and it blows my mind at how many things one can be in this life if you just choose to unbox yourself from the box that society has put you in. Maybe you too have resonated with this. Maybe you are also stuck in the messy middle of yourself. You're too stressed out because of exams and things in school, or you are a burnt out doctor who cannot find the light at the end of the tunnel. This is exactly the platform that you need to be binging. If you've been told that your dreams are a waste, or your dreams are too idealistic, or in an ideal world that can't happen, I want to show you what is possible within the South African context of doctoring. This podcast, like I say, is not about villainizing medicine. It's not about making medicine feel like the big bad guy, but I also don't want to hold it on a pedestal and say that medicine is the greatest thing ever. I want to inform you and help you make the best decision for you. We are enlarging the camp of medicine. Whether you want to specialize or you don't want to, it's okay. But I will bring doctors to you that are doing doctoring a bit differently. Yes, thank you for listening to me have a little tell-all session with you. I hope you resonated, and I hope that you are going to stick around. In the next episode, I'm going to paint a picture of what medicine looks in the modern day South Africa, some challenges, and also a few tidbits that I've experienced myself that I don't hear anyone talking about. If you like this episode, please, my YouTube warriors, I need you to click like and subscribe. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, please rate this 5 stars. You know, I actually just realized I've never introduced myself. Oh my gosh, it's episode 2 and I haven't introduced myself. I am Dr. Diane. I'm Dr. Diane. Please, nice to meet you. You can follow Redoctoring on Instagram, TikTok, and also on YouTube. Please do also subscribe to the email list that I have down in the show notes and the description box. I will be sending you a free burnout recovery guide to help you if you are in any of the trenches in this life. Trenches with regards to medicine, I mean. But yes, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and definitely go on to episode 3 because I'm spilling a lot more tea over there, okay? All right. Remember, this is your permission to be a different kind of doctor, signed by Dr. Diane.